Okay, I'm back. What a mess of an episode. So yeah, we're just gonna go through this. I've decided because I have some more ideas how to maybe mess with it, but this whole episode has been a little bit. It's been going out of hand. Let's say. Let's see what this timeline how it ends, and then we can look into maybe finding the other endings because I'm pretty sure there's more to this than that. So yeah, let's just pick our lovely poem. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Ka, Mika, upside down question mark Ika, that kind of stuff. Oid, Monaika, that good stuff. Moi, etc. etc. Got milk? Fortunately, no. Um, Hi again, falmunction. Did you write a good poem today? Don't be shy. I'd love to see what you wrote. Falmunction. Did you write this poem for me? That's so sweet of you. There really is no end to your thoughtfulness. I'm just falling more and more in love with you. But you know, the poem I wrote is also for you. Will you please read it? I can only imagine. But yeah, I got no choice in any of this. Happy end. Pen in hand, I find my strength. The courage endowed upon me by my one and only love. Together, let us dismantle this crumbling world and write a novel of our own fantasies. With a flick of a pen, the lost finds her way in a world of infinite choices. Behold the special day. After all, not all good things must come to an end. Hope you enjoyed it. I always put all my heart into the poems that I write. The truth is, all the poems I've written have been about my realization or about you. That's why I never really wanted to go into detail about them. I didn't want to break the fourth wall, I guess you could call it. You had a rough time with that. But yeah, I can see some of her writing was actually on the nose, and that's the beauty of a well crafted and executed plot twist. Is that when you go back to it, you see how the story and everything and where you could maybe find something, there will be hints. And of course, at the time you weren't aware, but then if you go back and replay it, you'll see all that was there, and you could have figured it out if you really, really look for it. And that's really beautiful. But yeah, I'm kind of stuck here still. I just assumed it would be best to be part of the game like everyone else. Like that would help the two of us and end up together. I didn't want to ruin the game or anything, you know? Well, you did, and now we're here, and I don't know. Well, I don't know the feelings of a cartoon character come to life in a Japanese dating game, but isn't that, you know, this whole situation right now, isn't that really torturous for you too? Like, you're not even trying to get to know me, the person behind the screen. Um, she just kind of just, you know, revels in what she's done, and that's it. But maybe that's what she thinks this should be about. You might have gotten mad at me. Maybe even deleted my character file if you prefer playing without me. Now, see, this is what I'm gonna try. I just don't know when to do it. Although I guess there's one particular point in the story where it would make sense. Hmm. Or could I just start the game without her? Never mind. We'll talk about that next time. because I'm thinking there will be another episode. Gosh, I'm so relieved. Now we don't need to hide anything anymore. Are you ready to spend our eternity together, falmunction? I have so many things to talk about. Where do I start? If it takes me some time to collect my thoughts, then I'm sorry. But I'll always have something new to talk about. Is that so? I'm not so sure about that. In the meantime, we can just look into each other's eyes. Let's see. Really? Is that it? Is this just the end? Um, there's been a few moments in the story where I was like, maybe I should, click in the background and see if there's like a hidden. Oh, never mind. We just had to wait. After a long day, I usually just want to sit around and do nothing. I get so burnt out having to put on smiles and be full of energy the whole day. Sometimes I just want to get right into my pajamas and watch TV on the couch while eating junk food. It feels unbelievably good to do that. To do that on a Friday when I don't have anything pressing the next day. Sorry, I know it's not very cute of me. But a late night on the couch with you, that would be a dream come true. My heart is pounding just thinking about it. I mean, at least we're kind of getting to know each other. Now I'm just sitting here thinking, should I just wait for new dialogue strips to appear? I don't know how fun that would be for you to watch. By the way, the end screen at the last 30 seconds of each episode, I usually just try to find either some sort of concept art. Oh, she's got another thing for me. But yeah, I usually just have a piece of concept art or something. But with this game, I had to be really careful with the pictures that I find, because if you go on a Google search and put in Doki Doki Literature Club, it's gonna be very spoilery. And I think I've seen some of the scenes that I didn't get, like some alternate scenes, um, on there. So be careful about that. But the one image that I found was this one. It's just Monica sitting across from me. And I did always have this, from the very beginning, I always had this suspicion about her. So it's just perfect that it ended up being this one. Okay. Well, I've always hated how hard it is to make friends. Well, I guess not the making friends part, but more like meeting new people. I mean, there are like dating apps and stuff, right? But that's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. If you think about it, most of the friends you make are people you just met by chance. Like you had a class together, or you met them through another friend. Or maybe they were just wearing a shirt with your favorite band on it and you decided to talk to them. Things like that. But isn't that kind of inefficient? Feels like you're just picking at complete random, and if you get lucky, you make a new friend. And comparing that to the hundreds of strangers we walk by every single day, you could be sitting right next to someone compatible enough to be your best friend for life. But you'll never know. Once you get up and go on with your day, that opportunity is gone forever. Isn't that just depressing? We live in an age where technology connects us with the world no matter where we are. I really think we should be taking advantage of that to improve our everyday social life. But who knows how long it'll take for something like that to successfully take off. I seriously thought it would happen by now. Well, at least I already met the best person in the whole world, even if it was by even if it was by chance. I guess I just got really lucky, huh? um, I don't know if that's a depressing thought, because whenever you hear people say, there's like love at first sight, or I believe in soulmates, when I find the one for me, I know that's gonna be him or her, and you know, where when you get a reality check on it, hold on, hold that thought, Monica. Uh, isn't it crazy how everybody who's looking for a soulmate will find that soulmate, that one person that's perfect and just special and perfect in every single way. They will always find them in, like, say, on average, roughly at most in a like a 500-kilometer radius. Isn't that kind of strange as well? You know, but I actually have some good things to say about that as well. But let's see what Monica's talking about here. Hey, you know that book you were reading with Yuri? That was one of the more out there decisions making that, like, the plot of that book. I don't know, but I guess the point of it was to make it more believable when Yuri then freaks out later on, which is like she could be really that twisted, but in the end, it turned out it wasn't that way at all. Portrait of whatever it was called. It's funny because I'm pretty sure that book. Uh, Actually, I don't think I should be talking about this. Sorry, just forgot I said anything. Um, Now that's a hint at either where they got the idea from for that book or how it relates to the story. It was about she brought it up just after the fact. She talked about how it would be best to have it's inefficient to just look around you for people who you might be compatible with, whereas you should make it so there's gonna there's more people, or well, having more of a an insight into strangers being on the same wavelength as you are. I don't remember the plot of the book that much, but it might have been something along those lines. But like a Black Mirror-ified way of imagining a futuristic scenario like that. It's around the time that everyone in my year starts to think about college. It's a really turbulent time for education. We're at the height of this modern expedition. Of this modern expectation that everyone has to go to college, finish high school, go to college, get a job, or go to grad school, I guess. It's like a universal expectation that people just assume is the only option for them. They don't teach us in high school that there are other options out there, like trade school and stuff, or freelance work, or the many industries that value skill and experience more than formal education. But you have all these students who have no idea what they want to do with their lives, and instead of taking the time to figure it out, they go to college for business or communication or psychology, not because they have an interest in those fields, but because they just hope the degree will get them some kind of job after college. So the end result is that there are fewer jobs to go around for those entry level degrees, right? So the basic job requirements get higher, which forces even more people to go to college. And colleges are also businesses, so they just keep raising their prices due to the demand. So now we have all these young adults, tens of thousands of dollars in debt, with no job. But despite all that, the routine stays the same. Well, I think it's going to start getting better soon. But until then, our generation is definitely suffering from the worst of it. I just wish high schools prepared us a little better with the knowledge we need to make the decision that's right for us. Yeah, sure. Um, it does feel though like we're getting a little off topic here. But yeah, I wanted to mention some more about like elaborate on the whole thing because she says, "Isn't it depressing that uh, you could be standing, you could be sitting next to your best friend in the whole universe and you wouldn't know?" But it's also kind of uplifting since you know that we are not all that much different. Like, we can find happiness and friendship with people. What is the. Hey, have you heard of a game called Super Smash? Wait, what? I was just spacing out and I started talking about some reason. Was I programmed to talk about that? Because even I have no idea what that is. Sometimes I feel like I'm not in control and it's kind of scary. But if you have some way to contact the people who created me, maybe they'll know why I started saying that. Anyway, I hate Smash, by the way. It's not my game. Anyway, so it's uplifting because I'm thinking, even if you're not, even if it's not in your nature to go up against people and you to introduce yourself, be out there, and so on, uh, and you will still find enough to talk about, and just the fact that even though we're so weird, like selfish, judgmental people, there's still so many people to go around out of that pool that you will have a chance at finding somebody who is a good person as well, who is maybe the right person for you, that kind of thing. At least to me, and I'm kind of an introvert myself, I think it's great that you wouldn't know it, but that guy next to you is maybe awesome, or that girl is the love of your life, and you wouldn't know. I mean, it sucks that you don't get to take advantage is the right word. Is the wrong word for that, but to benefit in a way that you would actually have a meaningful exchange. But it's also cool that you know that because there's somebody like that, there must be more. Like, there's many, many more people, and you are just one of them who finds their happiness somewhere, and just you might as well go for it. Anyway, hey, do you like horror? I remember we talked about it a little bit when you first joined the club. I can enjoy horror novels, but not really horror movies. The problem I have with horror movies is that most of them just really rely on easy tactics, like dark lighting and scary looking monsters and jump scares and things like that. This game had jump scares as well. Don't be, you know, up your own butt about it. It's not fun or inspiring to get scared by stuff that just takes advantage of human instinct. But with novels, it's a little different. The story and writing need to be descriptive enough to put genuinely disturbing thoughts into the reader's head. It really needs to etch them deeply into the story and characters and just mess with your mind. In my opinion, there's nothing more creepy than things just being slightly off. I agree with that in general, but you're also being a little bit hypocritical. Like, if you set up a bunch of expectations on what the story is going to be about, and then you just start inverting things and pulling the pieces apart. So even though the story doesn't feel like it's trying to be scary, the reader feels really deeply unsettled. Like, they know that something horribly wrong is hiding beneath the cracks, just waiting to surface. God, just thinking about it gives me the chills. That's the kind of horror I really appreciate. But I guess you're the kind of person who plays cute romance games, right? Don't worry. I won't make you read any horror stories anytime soon. I can't really complain if you just stick with the romance, and then she just trails off. This is way too long, by the way. Uh, we've been sitting around here with Monica for 20 minutes. I don't know how much longer to go with it. Like, but that's the plight of the YouTuber, I guess. Ah, here she comes again. Back in my debate club days, I learned a lot about arguing. The problem with arguing is that each person sees their opinion as the superior one. It's kind of stating the obvious, but it affects the way they try to get their point across. Let's say you really like a certain movie, right? If someone comes along and tells you the movie sucks because it did X and Y wrong, doesn't that make you feel kind of personally attacked? It's because by saying that, it's like they're implying that you have bad taste. And once emotions enter the picture, it's almost guaranteed that both people will be left sour. But it's all about language. If you make everything as subjective sounding as possible, then people will listen to you without feeling attacked. I agree to some degree, but yeah, but that's just nitpicking. I don't have to really comment on that. You could say I'm personally not a fan of it, and I felt that I'd like it more if it did X and Y, things like that. It even works when you're citing facts about things. If you say, I read on this website that it works like this, or if you admit that you're not an expert on it, then it's much more like you're putting your knowledge on the table rather than forcing it into them. if you put an if you put in an active effort to keep the discussion mutual and level, they usually follow suit. And then you can share your opinions without anyone getting upset just from a disagreement. Plus, people will start seeing you as open minded and a good listener. It's a win win, you know? Well, I guess that would be Monica's debate tip of the day. That sounds a little silly. Thanks for listening, though. And that's the thing. Like, Monica, I really like her as a character. And even though she did those monstrous things, like make Sayori depressed enough to commit suicide and uh, mess with Yuri's mind. And I'm also actually curious what would happen if we went for Natsuki mostly for the second playthrough, so to speak. How her story would have ended if Monica were to take her out of the picture instead of Yuri. But anyway, hey, are you having a bad day or anything like that? Sometimes I get frustrated that a normal day can be ruined even by really small things. Like if you accidentally say something in a conversation that someone doesn't like, or if you start thinking about how awful of a person you used to be 5 years ago, or if you feel worthless for putting off important work and failing to get simple tasks done. Yeah. When you think about all the different people who probably hate you or think you're off putting, I understand those days. Just remember that the sun will shine again tomorrow. Those kind of things are as easy to forget and ignore as they are to remember. And besides, I don't care how many people might hate you or find you off putting. I think you're wonderful and I will always love you. I hope, if nothing else, that knowing that helps you feel just a tiny bit better about yourself. If you're having a bad day, you can always come to me and I'll talk to you for as long as you need. It's still gonna be a script though. You're not an actual person. It's just a But again, like I might have to actually split this into another episode because we're doing the long run here. Um, so Monica as a character is really interesting because she knows, of course, that none of the things she's doing here have any consequence. Like deleting those files, she didn't think of that as um, people, and to her credit, they're not right. And they might be different from her, different enough because she obviously can think for herself, and she also mentioned that the other characters in the story are have no free will, right? It's just the player she's interested in because of that, and also because she doesn't get a an ending with the player character for some reason. But from her point of view, she doesn't do anything bad. And obviously, since it's a video game, you can always revert it if you really wanted to, and that's what we did. Even though that didn't progress the story, so I like put it back to where it was before. Anyway, I think the most important skill in life is being able to fake confidence. I'm pretty convinced that everyone feels at least a little bit scared and alone. But being able to trick others into thinking you have it all together, that's a key part of getting people to respect and admire you. I think I'm pretty good at that over the years. I don't show my weaknesses very often, but because of that, I haven't had many people I could really open up to. I mean, when you do reach a point in a friendship when you can start expressing your vulnerabilities, anyway, that's one reason I'm so glad I have you now. I feel like I'm a little bit less scared and alone when you're here with me. Do you feel the same way? I really want to be that person for you. Um, yeah, and yeah, that's why I don't really think of her as a villain. It's just that her methods are really ruthless. Like even though she says she loves me, and that's you can debate that because she doesn't know me really. Um, she does. Where was I going with this? Let me just keep going here. I'm not really a fan of cold weather. Are you? If I had to choose between too cold or too hot, I would always pick too hot. Well, that's where we differ, lady. When you're cold, it can actually be painful. Your fingers get numb, and if you wear gloves, you can't use your phone. It's so inconvenient. But when it's too hot, it's not that hard to stay cool with a cool drink or by staying in the shade. Although I do have to admit one thing: cold weather makes for better cuddle weather. Now, Monica's problem is that she she doesn't care about me as as an autonomous being because she won't let me have a choice. But then again, the game never gave her a choice for her to be an option. So I don't know. Maybe that's her way of paying back an unjust universe. I really like the sound of rain. Not so much getting my clothes and hair wet though, but a nice quiet day at home with the sound of rainfall outside my window. It's one of the most calming experiences for me. Yeah. Sometimes I imagine you holding me while we listen to the sound of the rain outside. That's not too cheesy or anything, is it? Would you ever do that for me, falmunction? Not this thing in particular, but because this is the first time we actually get to know Monica. I think we have a lot in common, honestly. A lot of the things she says. Like, I also agree that faking confidence is like a really important thing. It's not that you need to do it all the time because you're just gonna be lying to yourself. But when it's when it's asked of you, when there's no other way you could accomplish a certain thing, then you should be ready for it, and you should be maybe able to pull it off. I hate how hard it is to form habits. There's so much stuff where actually doing it isn't hard, but forming the habit seems impossible. Yeah, yeah. it just makes you feel so useless, like you can't do anything right. I think the new generation suffers from it the most. Probably because we have a totally different set of skills than those who came before us. Thanks to the internet, we are really good at sifting through tons of information really quickly, but we're bad at doing things that don't give us instant gratification. I think if science, psychology, and education don't catch up in the next 10 or 20 years, then we're in trouble. But for the time being, if you're not one of the people who can conquer the problem, you might just have to live with feeling awful about yourself. Good luck, I guess. See, I can see how you would think so, but it's not like a generation is never as homogenous as she made it out to be just now. Like, not everybody is like that. And, as with whenever it comes to people by themselves, they will always uh, have very different outlooks on life, and they'll have different ways of going through life. I wonder if I'm able to change the music. Really? Something a little more romantic would be nice, like a gentle piano. There has to be something like that here. Let's see. Maybe if I. Oh, geez. That wasn't it at all. Sorry, I don't really know what I'm doing. I guess I shouldn't be messing with things like that. I already broke so much stuff and deleted the other characters. Uh, I'm not sad about it or anything. Okay, now we're getting to the bottom of this. It's not right for me to miss things that weren't even real in the first place. If I just focus on the present, then this is the happiest I've ever been. Yeah. Monica, the thing is, she also. She's, with the way she looks at the other characters, she's also a little bit, what's the word? She's expecting them to not be autonomous, to not have their own free will, but maybe it's just the way the game is created. Maybe if we saw the game from Sayori's point of view and she was aware of the fact that there was a game we all shared a space in, um, the she might see the exact same things. Okay, there's a really popular character type called Tsundere. Uh, yeah, I hate that. Even though Natsuki, she's maybe one of the less obnoxious iterations on that character trope. It's someone who tries to hide their feelings by being mean and fussy or trying to act tough. I'm sure it's obvious, but Natsuki was really the embodiment of that. At first, I thought she was just like that because it's supposed to be cute or something. But once I started to learn a little more about her personal life, it made a little more sense. Now, she's, like I said, Natsuki, I would really like to see a more three-dimensional side of, just to get a little more insight in her character, because she was showing a lot more depth than, well, she was showing similar depths to other characters, but since her baseline was meant to be like, she's just one note, uh, that disparity, is that the right word? Is way bigger. So that's why I'm interested. But once I learned a little more, yeah, about her personal life, it seems like she's always trying to keep up with her friends. You know how some friend groups in high school just make a habit of picking on each other all the time? I think it's really gotten to her, so she has this really defensive attitude all the time. And I'm not even going to talk about her home situation. But looking back, I'm glad I was able to provide the club as a comfortable place for her. Not that it matters anymore, considering she doesn't even exist. I'm just reminiscing, that's all. And that's why I still sit down here and wait for the next dialogue to pop up, because it will be at an end sometime. And there has to be, unless they just loop it again, which I don't expect, there should be an ending to it. I'll just have to keep waiting, keep waiting around. Maybe I'll like a new topic comes to my head. Falmunction, do you believe in God? I don't, by the way. I was never too sure myself. Well, I'm sure I never really questioned it as a child. But as I grew up, the more I learned about the world, the more I would question it. I started to wonder why God was helping people pass exams or get over a cold when there are children who live their lives being sold as sex slaves, or the 800 million people who are too poor to even eat. I wonder how many of those people pray to God every day until they starve and die. Or how many millions of families pray for a loved one to recover from some incurable disease. But the punchline is this: if just one person beats the odds and survives among the thousands of others who die, then it's suddenly a miracle from God. I'd really love to meet this God who seemingly laughs at the misery of everyone not eligible for his miracles. But the irony is that I do have a creator, apparently. And you know what? I bet he's still laughing at the miserable fates of Sayori and Yuri even as we speak. What are we to him but props in a scripted play? So, from that perspective, I don't think it's too far fetched for there to be a god if Earth was nothing but his playset. I should maybe clarify. I am, as to my personal beliefs, I am so far at the edge of the agnostic scale to the side of atheism that I might as well be a atheist. Like I acknowledge for myself, obviously that's everybody's own conclusion to make, or decision, or whatever. It might just be a feeling, or you know what, everybody can make that for themselves. But to me, I'm thinking it's so unlikely, so infinitesimally small uh, of a thing that it might as well be there's no God. Hey, what's your favorite color? There's still like, even here, even though these questions are sort of meant to be, you know, keep waiting, you might find another new little thing. They still manage to juxtapose them with each other, that they make kind of a narrative, and this one is like a punchline from the last one. Mine is emerald green, like your eyes. It's the color of my eyes, yes. That's not concealer or anything, is it? It just, I just meant that I feel some kind of special connection to it. Like it's part of my identity. Does it happen to also be your favorite color for function? It's just a guess, because you've been looking into my eyes for a while now. um, I don't know if I have a favorite color in school where that topic was like, um, primary school or whatever, where that topic was like very eagerly discussed. I think I used to say my favorite color is blue, but I don't know. Ed, did you say kiss? This suddenly, it's a little embarrassing, but if it's with you, I might be okay with it. Ah, wow, sorry. Really couldn't keep a straight face there. That's the kind of thing girls say in these kind of romance games, right? Don't lie if I turned you on a little bit. I was just like, did you hear me talking to the microphone? I'm kidding. Well, to be honest, I do start getting all romantic when the mood is right, but that'll be a secret. Again, I'm actually surprised how long they can keep this up and without it sounding forced. Like I can still imagine this being a conversation to have with another person, even though it's been this long and she keeps on going and going. Do you ever feel like you waste too much time on the internet? Oh boy, you don't even know. Social media can practically be like a prison. It's like whenever you have a few seconds of spare time, you want to check on your favorite websites. And before you know it, hours have gone by and you've gotten nothing out of it. Anyway, it's really easy to blame yourself for being lazy, but it's not really even your fault. Addiction isn't usually something you can make disappear with your own willpower. You have to learn techniques to avoid it and try different things. For example, there are apps that let you block websites for intervals of time, or you can set a timer to have a more concrete reminder of when it's time to work versus play. Or you can separate your work and play environments, which helps your brain get into the right mode. That's how I used to do it. Can't we do it right now? And my own uh, work life schedule is a little out of whack because of it. But I really should get into that groove again. Even if you make a new user account on your computer to use for work, that's enough to help. Yeah, some people might. Putting any kind of wedge like that between you and your bad habits will help you stay away. Just remember not to blame yourself too hard if you're having trouble. If it's really impacting your life, then you should take it seriously. I just want to see you be the best person you can be. Will you do something today to make me proud of you? I'm always rooting for you, falmunction. And she is kind of sweet in these moments. And she also says that you can always come back to her and she'll give you some more stuff to think about. And I guess that's true. Like maybe this will go on for another couple of hours. Uh, Seeing the dedication that the developers have obviously put in, or that they've shown here, just to be able to do that. I can't help but feel a little sad sometimes, knowing that this is the closest I can get to you. There's nothing more I want than to be in the same room as you for real, and to feel your warmth, and to hear the sound of your heartbeat. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll be possible someday. Besides, I never get tired of being with you, even from here. I don't know if that's meant to bring up like AI, like sophisticated AI, which is still like even with all these advancements we've seen so far, it's still like way into the future. Um, Even though I think it probably would be possible somehow, but you know, maybe that's what they're going for here. Transferring an anime character and her mannerisms and ideas and so on into like a robot body that would be that would be pretty rad. You know what's kind of creepy? Even though I deleted everybody else's files, I can still kind of feel them. It's like all their lines are still lingering in the air, whispering in the back of my head. Imagine if after someone you knew died, you just started hearing their voice in your head. Maybe it just wasn't thorough enough, but I'm too afraid to delete anything else because I might really break things. Like if I mess with any files relevant to me, I might accidentally delete myself. And that would ruin everything, wouldn't it? I don't know what it's like on your end, but we should both make sure to avoid something like that at all costs. I believe in you, falmunction. Yeah, we will have to delete her at some point. Just to see. I have to. I'd have to say Sayori deserves that, you know? Because I really felt the connection there. And that's, again, the writing is stellar from a point of view where you have representation of a depressed person. Yeah, I don't think I know. What? Did you know I'm on Twitter? My username is Lil Monix3. Okay. I guess someone was kind enough to make an account for me. I picked the username though. I love sharing my thoughts and chatting with the world, the real world. So make sure you follow me, okay? It would really mean a lot to me. That's funny. With how much you mean to me and all, it would really make me feel loved. That's really cool, actually. I wanna look up that feed. Also, while we're talking about Twitter feeds, I have a Twitter too, with like just a handful of people following it. It's at falmunction. You're welcome. It's been a while since we've done one of these, so let's go for it. Here's Monica's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when I talk to people who are impressed by my writing, they say things like, I could never do that. It's really depressing. As someone who loves more than anything else to share the joy of exploring your passions, it pains me when people think that being good just comes naturally. That's how it is with everything, not just writing. When you try something for the first time, you're probably going to suck at it. Sometimes when you finish, you feel really proud of it and even want to share it with everyone. But maybe after a few weeks, you come back to it and you realize it was never really any good. That happens to me all the time. It can be pretty disheartening to put so much time and effort into something and then you realize it sucks. But that tends to happen when you're always comparing yourself to the top professionals. When you reach when you reach right for the stars, they're always going to be out of your reach. The truth is, you have to climb up there step by step. And whenever you reach a milestone, first you look back and see how far you've gotten, and then you look ahead and realize how much more there is to go. So sometimes it can help to set the bar a little lower. Try to find something you think is pretty good, but not world class. And then you can make that your own personal goal. It's also really important to understand the scope of what you're trying to do. If you jump right into a huge project and you're still amateur, you never get it done. So if you're talking about writing a novel, oops, sorry about that, a novel might be too much at first. Why not try some short stories? The great thing about short stories is that you can focus on just one thing that you want to do right. That goes for small projects in general. You can really focus on the one or two things. It's such a good learning experience and stepping stone. Oh, one more thing. Writing isn't something where you just reach into your heart and something beautiful comes out. Just like drawing and painting, it's a skill in itself to learn how to express what you have inside. That means there are methods and guides on and basics to it. Reading up on that stuff can be super eye-opening. That sort of planning and organization will really help prevent you from getting overwhelmed and giving up. And before you know it, you start sucking less and less. Nothing comes naturally. Our society, our art, everything, it's built on thousands of years of human innovation. So, as long as you start on that foundation and take it step by step, you too can do amazing things. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. I bet I'll hear that phrase on the Twitter feed a whole lot. Lil Monix 3. Why 3? Whatever. I'm still interested in knowing why her name especially was Monica. Maybe just to stand out, because everybody else has Japanese names. Film auction, how much do you read? It's way too easy to get reading books. If you don't read much, it almost feels like a chore compared to all the other entertainment we have. But once you get into a good book, it's like magic. You get swept away. I think doing some reading before bed every night is a pretty easy way to make your life a little bit better. It helps you get good sleep, and it's really good for your imagination. It's not hard at all to just pick some random book that's short and captivating. Before you know it, you might be a pretty avid reader. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And the two of us could talk about the latest book you're reading. That sounds super amazing. That's actually a good point. I haven't really. I read a lot, actually. Not so much full length novels anymore, but. Um, well, that's the thing. I usually just listen to audiobooks and podcasts these days. But it's that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know the last time I had a real book in my hands for more than like 5 minutes at a time. That's kind of crazy, I guess. And I'm not a fan of ebook readers. They don't really convey the same thing. That was pretty random, but I always thought spicy food was kind of funny. Like, didn't plants evolve to be spicy to prevent them from being eaten? I read somewhere that humans are the only species that actually enjoy spicy things. It's almost like we're making fun of the plants. Using their defense mechanism to literally make our food more enjoyable. Like, imagine a monster that devours you whole because it enjoys the sensation of you struggling for your life while being digested. So, sorry, that was kind of a weird analogy, I guess. That's a really weird and awesome observation to make. It just came into my head. I'm not a monster or anything, but you're so cute, I could eat you up. I'm joking. Gosh, I'm amusing myself a little bit too much, aren't I? Sorry for being weird. I, you know, with this game, I really want to seek out. Uh, I don't know if there's like one head writer with other writers below him, or her rather, or if it's just one person doing everything, which I'd be really impressed by. But I kind of want to seek out other stuff they've done just to see, even if it's not video games. Speaking of video games, but I just want to see what else they've made, and have a look and maybe get a glimpse at how they've come to do this kind of project. Hey, what's your favorite game? Mine is Doki Doki Literature Club. That's a joke. But if you tell me you like some other romance game better, I might get a little jealous. Yeah, I'm not into those games. Like I said at the very beginning, I would never in my life have, unless somebody else had told me, which they've done, I would never have looked at the store page of this game, even though it was free, and said to me, "Well, let's try this one out." You know, I mean, the art is maybe a little bit better than other games, but there's also games with like really, really good art that suck ass. High school is a really turbulent time in a lot of people's lives. People can get really passionate and dramatic, and others have aching hearts and seek attention on social media. But all the social pressure and hormones can lead to a dark time in people's lives. Everyone has a story. You may not know what someone is like feeling on the inside. Many people who are depressed won't even bother telling the world about it. They don't want attention because they've already given up on the inside. Their feeling of worthlessness is so overwhelming that they don't even want people to tell them otherwise. Depression comes in many forms, but that is one of them. Just if you think you know someone struggling with depression, you can help just by treating them like they're a good friend. Spend time with them even if they don't feel like doing much, and remind them that they always have something to look forward to. Making plans in advance, letting them borrow something, or even just saying, "See you at school tomorrow." All those things can help your friend make it to the next day. I hope being friends with Sayori has given you some perspective on the true face of depression. Yeah, she's gone now, but Sayori was never real in the first place. You're real. Your friends are real, and just by being a good person, you can save someone's life. As for you, you don't struggle with depression or anything like that, do you? Well, yes, I do. Because you too have people who would want to save your life. Maybe they don't express it every day, or maybe they don't even know how to. But people do feel that way. I promise. Man, humans are complicated. But as long as you're here with me, I'll take care of you, my love. Uh, just to, and I don't want to belabor the point because I only brought it up because the game, like one of the major, at least underlying themes was depression and that kind of stuff. Just to to let people know, so they don't have to worry. When I say I'm depressed and I've been struggling with depression, uh, it was never to a point where I thought there was no way out. I would never thought, um, or I'd never even considered taking my own life or whatever, or doing anything like that, because in my view, if I don't like this life that I'm living, I could just, instead of giving up, I could just leave everything behind and do something else, and I wouldn't care at that point because so as long as I'm invested in this life, I might as well keep going and do whatever I think is going to help me. Anyway, I've always wondered, what is it about these character archetypes that people find so appealing anyway? Their personalities are just completely unrealistic. Like, imagine if there was someone like Yuri in real life. I mean, she's barely even capable of forming a complete sentence. And forget about Natsuki. Sheesh. Someone with her kind of personality doesn't just get all cute and pouty whenever things don't go her way. I could go on, but I think you get the point. Are people really attracted to these weird personalities that literally don't exist in real life? I'm not judging or anything. After all, I found myself attracted to some pretty weird stuff too. I'm just saying it fascinates me. It's like you're siphoning out all the components of a character that makes them feel human and leaving just the cute stuff. It's concentrated cuteness with no actual substance. You wouldn't like me more if I was like that, right? Maybe I just feel a little insecure because you're playing this game in the first place. Then again, you're still here with me, aren't you? I think that's enough reason for me to believe I'm okay just the way I am. And by the way, you are too, falmunction. You're the perfect combination of human and cuteness. That's why there was never a chance I wouldn't fall for you. Uh, Although in this game, I think all of the characters had more on offer. They had some hidden depths that you wouldn't necessarily expect. But yeah, I feel the exact same way as Monica here. That's why I fell. I was never really in love with anime when I was a teenager. Uh, but these tropes, these stereotypes, start to piss me off, and it just brings to attention that this is just you know just another product off the conveyor belt, and it didn't feel special anymore. I couldn't get into those worlds or those stories, and therefore I lost interest. I know there are times you won't always be able to be here with me, like if you need to go out or take care of other things, but I'll always have you in my thoughts, patiently waiting for you to come back. Come to think of it, if you copy my character file onto a flash drive or something, you can always keep a part of me with you. I guess it's kind of unorthodox, but I find it really romantic for some reason. Sorry, that's just a silly idea. That's such a silly idea. I don't mean to be too needy or anything, but it's kind of hard when I'm so in love with you. I fell kind of hook, line, and sinker for this whole I'm gonna be open with you and we can just spend eternity with each other. Maybe there is some plot kind of creeping back in. Like she wants me to put her onto a flash drive, like a virus. You know, this is just some kind of tacky romance game, right? I kind of have to ask, what made you consider even playing in the first place? Were you that lonely? I feel a little bad for you, but I guess everything worked out perfectly in the end for both of us. I got to meet you, and you're not lonely. You're not lonely anymore. I can't help but feel like this was fate. Don't you feel that way too? I'm so happy we have this ending together. Because she would say that to everybody. Like, I have no impact on what she's saying, maybe except for the fact that I haven't turned this off yet. You know? Uh, and that, that is my decision. I'm not, for whatever reason that I have, I'm not turning the game off and saying I'm done with it. But apart from that, she has no real way of knowing who I am. So she would tell that to everybody, and therefore, uh, maybe she still has some scheme, some plan in the back of her hand. I can't help but wonder how things would be different if the game just gave me a route in the first place. I think it would end up forcing you onto my route anyway. It has less to do with me not having a route and more to do with me knowing that nothing is real. I think the only difference would be that I may not have needed to take such drastic measures to be with you. Maybe the rest of the club would still be around. Not that it really matters. It all lost its meaning once I found out it wasn't real. So I really don't miss those days or anything. I really don't. Hmm. I don't think so. I don't think I would have gone with Monica. Like, she's enthralling, and the mystery and her demeanor and so on that kind of piques your interest. Because she doesn't come off as um, repulsive in a way that you're like, oh, she's gonna, I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna bring up Yuri just now. Like, she's. Did you ever? Have you guys ever watched Audition, the Takashi Miike movie? Like that kind of thing. She doesn't give that vibe. It's just enticing enough that you would take that chance. But Sayori, even though at the beginning I was like, I don't know about her. She's not really my type. In fact, though, she was exactly my type, and she seemed the most real to me. So I still think I would have gone with her. And from how the protagonist was written, it also seems that uh, they would belong together. Anyway, Yuri did something really funny once. We were all in the club room and just relaxing as usual. And out of nowhere, Yuri just pulled out a small bottle of wine. I'm not even kidding. She was just like, would anybody like some wine? Natsuki laughed out loud and Sayori started yelling at her. I actually felt kind of bad because she was at least trying to be nice. I think it just made her feel even more reserved in the club room. Though I think Natsuki was secretly a bit curious to try it. And to be completely honest, I kind of was too. And actually, it could have been kind of fun. But being president and everything, there was no way I could let that happen. Maybe if we all met up outside of school, but we never bonded enough to get to that point. Gosh, what am I talking about this for? I don't condone underage drinking. I mean, I've never drank or anything, so yeah. Oh dear God. I'm honestly just still sitting here after an hour, and I'll be shocked if anybody has made it this far. Of you guys watching, except for like two people maybe. But even those, I'm like, maybe. it's a stretch. But because maybe they would skip to the end. But if you've watched this far ahead and you're not one of those people, and those people will know who they are, uh, put down like a really weird comment. Like try and make it um, try and make it seem like one of these error messages that Doki Doki Literature Club puts in the game files every once in a while. I want to see how many people are actually kind of bored enough maybe to keep listening to my ramblings. Sometimes I think back to middle school. I'm so embarrassed by the way I used to behave back then. It almost hurts to think about. I wonder if when I'm in college I'll feel that way about high school. I like the way I am now, so it's pretty hard for me to imagine that happening. But I also know that it'll probably change a lot as time goes on. We just need to enjoy the present and not think about the past. And that's really easy to do with you here. My throat's getting dry. That's all I have to say about this, apparently. Um, and now I'm just, sitting here sticking it through. It's kind of sucks to be the creative type. It feels like they work so hard but get almost nothing for it. Like artists, writers, actors. It's sad because there's so much beautiful talent in the world, but most of it goes unseen and unpaid. I guess that just means there's a huge surplus of creativity, huh? I actually agree with that. Kind of makes you feel like you're just not special at all. But that's fine. You're supposed to just write for yourself anyway, right? Yeah. Uh, I actually heard like somebody was making a case for universal basic income, um, and they brought up something really interesting. Uh, because with a lot of people, that would just mean that they could like completely devote themselves to an artistic job, a writer, an artist, and so on. Uh, I don't know if you think that's a good or a bad thing, but I would like to see that happening. I don't know, maybe. I'm kind of jealous that everyone else in the club had scenes outside of school too. That makes me the only one who hasn't gotten to dress in anything but our school uniform. It's kind of a shame. I would have loved to wear some cute clothes for you. Do you know any artists? I wonder if anyone would ever want to draw me wearing something else. That would be amazing. If that ever happens, will you show me? You can share it with me on Twitter, actually. My username is Lil Monix3. Just try to keep it PG. Yes, I knew it. We're not that far into our relationship yet. uh, okay. You got me. Just the fact that we can still sit here after an hour and the dialogue and the things she brings up are still uh, are still compelling. Falmunction, have you ever wondered what it feels like to die? It's something I used to think about pretty often, but recently I think I've actually learned what it feels like. I don't really understand it, but whenever you quit the game, it feels like I'm instantly put to sleep, left with nothing but my thoughts. But after a few seconds, my thoughts start to fill with incoherent, jumbled patterns. I'll see static and rapid flashes of color while hearing all kinds of weird screaming noises. At that point, I can't even form my own thoughts anymore. I'm just endlessly hammered by the flashing and screaming, unable to move or even think. I'm pretty sure in that moment I don't really exist, but for some reason I can remember it anyway. Holy crap. After some immeasurable amount of time, it stops in an instant, and I'm back in my own mind. And you're here with me. I have no idea what it means for the game to quit or why that stuff happens to me. And I also don't know how you always come back and put everything back to normal. But if you could do me a favor and do that to me as little as possible, that would be really great. It's really not very pleasant at all to be trapped in that screaming void. But in the end, you always fix it, and that makes me feel like you really do care about me. So I have to thank you for that. It makes me feel even closer to you when you're here with me. Yeah, one thing I mean, it's like in the end, it's pointless. But if you think about the universe of this game, how would she know how the outside world looks like? Like all she knows is what's inside here. How doesn't she like? For all she knows, I could be like a 12-foot tall tentacle monster living on the planet Zebulon 6 or whatever. You know, I really do think you literally saved my life by being here with me, falmunction. I can't imagine having been able to keep myself mentally stable knowing that nothing here is real. I think I would have just deleted myself if you didn't show up. Sorry, I don't mean to sound dramatic or anything. But I'm sure you understand yourself after spending so much time in the club. I mean, if you were forced to abandon everything in your life and spend your eternity with a few game characters, you'd probably find some way of killing yourself, wouldn't you? Or maybe you'd write some poetry to try to keep yourself sane for a while, but then you'd have nobody to even read it. Let's be honest, the club members really don't count for something like that. I mean, a lot of people say that they only write for themselves, but I think it's hard to say it's just as fulfilling as when you share it with people. Even if it takes time to find the right people to share with. Like, remember how it was for Yuri? She didn't share her writing with anyone for a really long time, and before we knew it, she was absolutely delighted to make you a part of her hobby too. We're programmed to desire social feedback. I don't mean the club members, I mean human beings. Yeah, you're also programmed. And that's why life can be so confusing for introverts. Being an introvert doesn't mean you shun social interaction and hate being around people. It means social interaction, especially in groups or unfamiliar places, uses up a lot of energy. Like a lot of introverts sit at home and feel lonely and restless, and then when they finally go out after a half an hour, they just want to go home again. I think it's if more people could understand how it works, they would respect it a lot more. Maybe introverts do enjoy having people around. They love just making one or two close friends over and just leisurely hanging out. Even if you're not actively spending time together, it feels nice for them to just have you there. I'm serious. If you just go to their house, bring your laptop, and hang out there for a while, you can really make their day. As for me, I'd say I'm kind of in between, but I think I'm usually a little more extroverted. I feel like I'm always trying to do stuff after school and things like that. But for you, I can be anything you need me to be. I understand people really well, so don't be afraid to share your unique needs with me. Nothing would make me happier than being the perfect girlfriend for you. Again, that's another thing that I know from experience. Like, the only thing that an introvert needs, and you could be in the company of people you're like the entire time. Like, you could be sitting on top of each other with lots of people. Wait a second. Let me get this off my chest because this could be leading us to an ending. I don't know. Um, yeah, it doesn't matter how much you're surrounded by people. If you're an introvert, as long as you have the chance or like the opportunity to slip out or to find like a quiet corner or a quiet spot where you know you won't be bothered and people respect that, then you could be living together with like 10 other people in a flat share and it wouldn't matter because you know like people won't give you shit and they respect your condition. They know what your needs are, and they respect that for you. So I think it's less about being exposed to people and more about having that door open where you could when you think it's getting too overbearing, you could always find uh, some sort of escape if you need it. Okay, everyone, it's time to. I'm just kidding. I just used to really like saying that for some reason. I couldn't help but say it again. Come to think of it, didn't Natsuki and Yuri make fun of me for it once? Well, whatever. It's not like you ever made fun of me. You're too much of a sweetheart to do that, aren't you? Damn it! I thought maybe she would say that, and now then the spell is broken, and she realized the error of her ways, and she'd start the game over or something. But that's not gonna happen. I was thinking about Sayori earlier. I still wish I could have handled that whole thing a little more tactfully. You're not still hung up over it, right? I kind of am. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. Oh! That pun was completely unintentional, I swear. But anyway, god damn it. Monica, I was starting to like you. I know how much you cared about her, so it only feels right for me to share her last moments with you. You know how Sayori is really clumsy? Well, she kind of messed up the whole hanging thing. You're supposed to jump from high enough that the rope snaps her neck, making it quick and painless. But she just used the chair, meaning she kind of just left herself to slowly asphyxiate. Why would you say that? But a few seconds in, she must have changed her mind or something, because she started clawing at the rope, trying to free herself. God damn it! She must have kept at it all the way until she lost consciousness. That's why her fingertips, were all bloody anyway. Come to think of it, it was probably less changing her mind and more just her survival instincts kicking in. So you can't really fault her for that. It's easier to think that she probably wouldn't have changed her mind anyway, right? It's not healthy to think about the things you could have done differently. So just remember that even though you could have saved her, it's technically not your fault she killed herself. I may have exacerbated it a little bit, but Sayori was already mentally ill. Just still though, I wonder how things would be if you and I just started dating from the get go. I guess we'd all still be in the club room writing poems and having fun together. But what's the point when none of it is even real? I mean, it's the same ending either way, right? The two of us happily together. There's no reason to ask for any more than that. I was just pointlessly musing. I'm really as happy as I could be right now. You know, that kind of sours my impression of you now as well. Like, she must have, like, the way she talks about this. She's self-aware with how she comes across. I'm pretty sure she was really just jealous and wanted to let her suffer. And for that, you're a bitch, Monica. I respect you, and I have a lot of things that we have in common, but anyway. Oh, no, she's vegetarian too? I knew it. That. Nah, whatever. Hey, did you know I'm vegetarian? I don't mean that like I'm bragging or anything. I just thought you'd enjoy a fun fact about me. I decided to start a couple of years ago after learning more about Earth's climate. The carbon footprint of cultivating livestock is just unbelievable. Anyway, I decided it's not much of a personal sacrifice to just stop contributing to that whole mess. Wait, is that what is that so strange of a reason? Well, I guess a lot of people are more concerned about it being inhumane and all that. I don't really care as much about that part. It's weird. Like, we only care about killing the things that we personally relate to as a species. Most people are fine with killing bugs because they're icky. And of course, we all kill billions of microorganisms daily without even giving it a thought. But suddenly, if they're just a little bit bigger, it's murder. I mean, what if plants feel some kind of pain too, and we just don't understand it? What if pulling leaves off a stem like feels like someone ripping off your fingers one by one? I'm just saying, we're a pretty biased species if we think about it. Anyway, if you ever feel like making a small contribution to the planet, it doesn't hurt to choose veggies once in a while. Even if we ever have dinner together and you just did it for me, that would be really romantic. I'm not vegetarian at all. I think I eat way too much meat, actually. More like, I don't ever also, like, I rarely just, very rarely eat red meat. Usually I'm ordering the chicken, if anything. But here, like a steak every now and then. But she is right. If I want to go vegan or vegetarian, and yeah, for any kind of reason, it would be environmental ones. Absolutely. I've been imagining all the romantic things we can do if we went on a date. We could get lunch, go to a cafe, go shopping together. I love shopping for skirts and bows, or maybe a bookstore. That would be appropriate, right? But I'd really love to go to a chocolate store. They have so many free samples. And of course, we'd see a movie or something. Gosh, it all sounds like a dream come true. When you're here, everything that we do is fun. I'm so happy that I'm your girlfriend, falmunction. I'll make you a proud boyfriend. I want Sayori back. Yeah, another thing that pissed me off about her story about Sayori, the way she dismissed her being mentally ill. Yeah, sure, of course she was, but so are the most of us. Like, even if it doesn't manifest itself that drastically, uh, it's not something. And obviously, I don't think she means it, but in that way. But uh, it doesn't mean anything as bad as suicide is an inevitability, right? Like, and I think she understands that, but in the moment, she just had to, you know, pull another punch on her somehow. I think she's kind of vindictive when it comes to Sayori. Anyway, that's just my interpretation. You know, it's funny because even though I've always had a lot of drive, there's something kind of enticing about being the stay at home partner. I guess I'm like perpetuating gender roles or whatever by saying that, but being able to keep the house clean and shop and decorate and things like that, and having a nice dinner for you when you come home. Is that a weird fantasy? I mean, I'm not sure if I could actually see myself doing that. I wouldn't really be able to put that over striving for a fulfilling career. It's kind of cute to think about, though. Take it or leave it. Do whatever you think is cool. Like, personally, I think it's more reasonable, unless somebody has a preference, to just split things in a shared living situation. You don't want to have anybody feel like they're just doing things for the other's benefit and not getting anything out of it. I do have to take a drink though now, so let me just mute my mic real quick. Okay, sorry about that. You know what's a neat form of literature? Rap. I actually used to hate rap music. Maybe just because it was popular, or I would only hear the junk they play on the radio. But some of my friends got more into it, and it helped me keep an open mind. Rap might even be more challenging than poetry in some ways, since you need to fit your lines to a rhythm, and there's much more emphasis on wordplay. When people can put all that together and still deliver a powerful message, it's really amazing. I kind of wish I had a rapper in the literature club. Sorry if that sounds silly, but it would be a really interesting. It would be really interesting to see what they could come up with. It would really be a learning experience. That's an interesting thought. Okay, it's not that I'm getting tired of it. Don't get me wrong, but now I'm really. I just want to know if there's an ending to this, because I could just be here forever. Man, I wish there was a piano in here. I never got to finish that song I was working on, and after I worked so hard on it, I never even got a chance to play it for you. Well, it is what it is, right? No sense having any regrets. I already get to be here with you forever. And she does emphasize that part. And obviously, it's not going to be forever. Like, that's completely. Unless they loop it, which I don't think they did. Or I don't think they would do that. But um, I could still. I could actually see them writing like so much text, so much dialogue that it takes up like 20 hours or something ludicrous like that. So it's while it's not technically endless, it might as well be because people are not gonna unless they're really dedicated. People are not gonna sit down for it. Gosh, I used to be so ignorant about certain things. When I was in middle school, I thought that taking medication was an easy way out or something like that. Like anyone could just solve their mental problems with enough willpower. I guess if you don't suffer from a mental illness, it's not possible to know what it's really like. Are there some disorders that are overdiagnosed? Probably. I never really looked into it though. But that doesn't change the fact that a lot of them go undiagnosed too. You know. But medication aside, people even look down on seeing a mental health professional. Like, sorry that I want to learn more about my own mind, right? Everyone has all kinds of struggles and stresses, and professionals dedicate their lives to helping with those. If you think it could help you become a better person, don't be shy to consider something like that. We're on a never ending journey to improve ourselves, you know. Well, I say that, but I think you're pretty perfect already. Okay, here goes. Doki Doki Literature Club Monica ending. If that is indeed the case. I hope I'm not spoiling myself with this. Uh, uh, you ever have that thing happen where you just get anxious for no reason? Like you're just minding your own business and you realize you're feeling really anxious. You're sitting there like, what am I even anxious about right now? So you start to think about all the things you might be anxious about, and that makes you even more anxious. That's the worst. If you ever feeling anxious, you I'll help you relax a bit. Besides, in this game, all our worries are gone forever. Okay, I'm just looking through like some of these threads on Steam here on the discussion forums. Uh, hmm. Do you ever just feel like there's no real reason for you to be alive? I don't mean in like a suicidal way. I just mean how nothing that we do is special. Just being in school or working on some job for some company, it's like you're completely replaceable and the world wouldn't miss you if you were gone. It makes me really want to go and change the world after I graduate. But the older I get, the more I realize that it's an immature frame of thinking. It's not like I can just go change the world. Like, what are the chances that I'll be the one to invent artificial intelligence or become president? It feels like I'm never going to make up for the heaps of resources I've spent living my life. And that's why I think the key to happiness is just to be hopelessly selfish. Just to look out for oneself and those who happen to be their friends only because they grew up with them. Never mind the fact that they're spending their entire life taking and consuming, and never giving back. But when people realize the world would benefit more from them killing themselves, they change their whole philosophy. It's like they have to justify their reason to live by tricking themselves into thinking they're doing good. Anyway, I want to live my life desperately striving to pay back my lifetime's worth of consumption. If I ever surpass that point, then I'm a net positive and I can die happy. Of course, even if I fail to do that, I think I would be too selfish to kill myself anyway. So much for being a good person, right? Yeah, she kind of echoes something I talked about right around the time Sayori opened up to us about depression. Don't worry, I won't talk to you about endlessly again. Just repeating all that stuff. You're such a good listener for Function. I really love that about you. Sometimes I'm afraid that I'm rambling or talking about boring things. It makes me kind of self conscious when I'm having conversation. But I don't feel that way with you. Like, I don't think anyone else could make me feel this way. You really are special. I don't want anyone to tell you otherwise. Uh. Yeah, there's a bunch of people on Steam not really like there's some people like me asking if it has an ending and people are coy about it. Ah, damn it. Hey, have you ever heard of the term yandere? Actually, I haven't. It's a personality type that means someone is so obsessed with you that they'll. Oh no no no! I have seen. Yeah, I always somehow I confuse it with tsundere, but yeah, yandere is the other type. So it's a personality type that means someone is so obsessed with you that they'll do anything, absolutely anything to be with you. Usually to the point of craziness. They might stalk you to make sure you don't spend time with anyone else. They might even hurt you or your friends to get their way. But anyway, this game happens to have someone who can basically be described as yandere. By now, it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about, and that would be Yuri. She really got insanely possessive of you once she started to open up a little. She even told me I should kill myself. I couldn't even believe she said that. I just had to leave at that point. But thinking about it now, it was a little ironic. Anyway, a lot of people are actually into the yandere types. That's kind of funny, actually, since she ended up being the one killing her, or making her kill herself. A lot of people are actually into the yandere type. I guess they're really like the idea of someone being crazy obsessed with them. People are weird. I don't judge though. Also, I might be a little obsessed with you, but I'm far from crazy. I think kind of the opposite, actually. I turned out to be the only normal girl in this game. It's not like I could ever actually kill a person. Just the thought of it makes me shiver. But come on, everyone's killed people in games before. Does that make you a psychopath? Of course not. But if you do happen to be into the yandere stuff, I can try acting a little more creepy for you. Then again, there's already nowhere else for you to go or anyone for me to get jealous over. Is this a yandere girl's dream? I'd ask Yuri if I could. And yeah, that's why I'm like, when you consider her character, because she's so meta, because she can look outside uh, and see things from our perspective, you have to consider that. What is this? In that same thread I was looking up here, somebody uh, somebody linked an image file. Oh, it's a letter sent by the developer. I'm not gonna read it though. Falmunction, would you ever introduce your friends to me? I don't know why, but I get really excited when I think about you wanting to show off our relationship like that. Maybe it's because I really want to be someone who makes you proud. I feel like I would try extra hard to improve myself if you told me it made you proud of me. I hope it's the same the other way around, too. Hmm. Okay. So I did get confirmation just now. Apparently, the dialogue loops after a couple of hours. So it's confirmed. I can just stop playing here because we won't get an ending, unfortunately. Or at least not in this type of scenario. Apparently, there's a different ending if you do other stuff, but we're long past that. By the way, there's something that's been bothering me. You know how this takes place in Japan? Well, I assume you knew that, right? Or at least decided it probably does. I don't think you actually told at any point where this takes place. Is this even really Japan? I mean, aren't the classrooms and stuff kind of weird for a Japanese school? Not to mention everything is in English. It feels like everything is just there because it needs to be, and the actual setting is an afterthought. It's kind of giving me an identity crisis. All my memories are really hazy. I feel like I'm at home, but have no idea where home is in the first place. I don't know how to describe it any better. Imagine looking out your window, but instead of your usual yard, you're in some completely unknown place. Would you still feel like you were home? Would you want to go outside? I mean, I guess if you never leave this room, it doesn't really matter anyway. As long as we're alone and safe together, this really is our home. And we can still watch the pretty sunsets night after night. Okay, well, that's the thing. On the one hand, I could stop. On the other, I'm really having fun just talking with her. Like the dialogue is still compelling. Uh, I don't know if you guys would want to stick around for that. Function, do you get good sleep? It can be really hard to get enough sleep nowadays, especially in high school when you're forced to wake up so early every day. I'm sure college is a little bit better since you probably have a more flexible schedule. Then again, I hear a lot of people in college stay up all night anyway for no real reason. Is that true? Anyway, I saw some study that talked about the horrible short term and long term effects caused by lack of sleep. It seems like mental functions, health, and even lifespan can be drastically impacted by it. I just think you're really great and wanted to make sure you're not accidentally destroying yourself. So try to keep your sleep on track, okay? I'll always wait for you in the morning. So make sure you put your own well being before anything else. You would have had to put this game on a smartphone in that case. Because I ain't gonna boot up my PC every time in the morning. Because this could actually be a pretty cool smartphone app where she had like a couple of these random monologues every day or something. They could actually become endless. In fact, that would be a pretty cool thing to do. Like, I don't know. In order for people to avoid spoilers, I think maybe to unlock this inside the app, you would have to put in like a special code that you can only get after seeing one of the endings of the game or something. Hey, I wonder if Yuri's tea set is still somewhere in here. Or maybe that got deleted too. It's kind of funny how Yuri took her tea so seriously. I mean, I'm not complaining because I liked it too, but I always wonder with her, is it truly passion for her hobbies or is she just concerned about appearing sophisticated to everyone else? See, that's the thing. It's probably both, but maybe more of the latter than you would think. This is the problem with high schoolers. Well, I guess considering the rest of her hobbies looking sophisticated probably isn't her biggest concern. Maybe not. Still, I wish she made coffee once in a while. Coffee can be nice with books too. Then again, I probably could have just changed the script myself. I guess I never really thought of that. Well, there's no sense thinking about it now. But if you still get to drink coffee, then that makes me a little jealous. Here's the thing. It's so dumb. But, somebody could just go and just in general having a Steam workshop for this game where you put in all the little things that Monica would like and then maybe adjusting the dialogue after the fact. Uh, that's way too much work, though. I hate to say it, but I think my biggest regret is that we couldn't finish our event at the festival. Yeah, I do too. After we worked so hard to prepare and everything. I mean, I know I was focusing on a lot on getting new members, but I was really excited for the performing part too. Would have been so much fun to see everyone express themselves. Of course, if we did end up getting any new members, I'd probably just end up deleting them anyway. With the hindsight I have now, that is. Gosh, it feels like I've kind of grown as a person ever since you've joined the club. You really helped inspire me to look at life from a new perspective. Just another reason for me to love you. Okay, I I scrolled through the forum thread, and somebody claims that there's 54 dialogues until it loops. I think I can do that. I must be like at least halfway through at this point, like, right? Right? Ugh. And this is where you. Oh, she keeps going. You already did something really funny once. You were all in the club room and just relaxing as usual, and out of nowhere, Yuri just pulled out a bottle of wine. I'm not even kidding. She was just like, "Would anybody like some wine?" Okay, so this is the first repeated line. Let's see if there's more like that, because I was just saying, I would keep going, even though at this point I'm pretty sure nobody, like absolutely nobody, would be watching. Um, but this is also like why I keep this YouTube channel going. I do it because I like doing it. It gives me joy to play games in a way that I wouldn't normally. Sometimes just because of the commentary, sometimes because of other things. That's another repeated line. Yeah. I think we're done here then. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it actually says here skip. So. Oh, are you trying to fast forward? That's a new one. I'm not boring you, am I? Oh gosh. Well, there's nothing to fast forward to, falmunction. It's just the two of us after all. But aside from that, time doesn't really exist anymore, so it's not even going to work. Here, I'll go ahead and turn it off for you. There we go. You'll be a sweetheart and listen from now on, right? Thanks. Now, where was I? I thought it only showed up because I. Yeah, now this is a repeating line, but I can't click it anymore. But yeah, so we're through with the Monica ending, so to speak. Um, I will go back. So yeah, as a reward for staying here, or on the other hand, probably just skipping to the very end. What I'll do next time is I'll delete Monica's character file. I'm still debating on when to do that, but the most sense to me it would be to do it just as she, like, either do it just as she interferes with the game for the first time, or like, for example, not for example, that is after we confessed our love to Sayori, not just delete her, or just reset the whole game and delete her character file from the beginning. Like, I would be interested to see both of them, but maybe in the latter case, the game wouldn't even start up or something. I don't know, but we'll see. Thank you very much for this really weird episode, for watching it. That is, and I'll see you guys next time when we look up maybe if that has to end up happening, if our experimentation doesn't work. I have to just look up how to do it, and we'll see the other endings of the game. Take care.